Today, we're diving into a story about corporate power, moral ambiguity, and the quiet wars that are fought not on battlefields, but in boardrooms. We are stepping into a world that, and I'm quoting here, dreamed through ledgers. Right off the bat, this one line tells you everything you need to know. We're in a place where your identity is a performance. It's a promise you make every single morning when you put on that suit. The real you, that gets hidden away because what you show the world, well, that's your most valuable and maybe your most dangerous asset. So the heart of this world is a company called Helix Thorn, and its corporate tower, it feels less like a business and more like some kind of temple to profit. In here, truth is just another commodity, and every single reflection holds a secret. Let's meet the people who walk these halls. First up, you've got Kornfeld, the CEO. The book describes him as having the handsome tiredness of men who have won too often. You know the type. He just embodies that kind of established power, like a resigned angel who genuinely believes that any risk can be priced and any truth can be neatly folded into a good story. Then there's Skorupa, the CFO. And what a description, right? Thin as a grudge. He's the sharp, metallic edge of the whole operation. He's the guy who cuts through all the poetry to demand the hard numbers, the one who will always ask who's paying for the flowers at the funeral. And lurking in the shadows, you have Popov. Now, he looks like anybody's uncle, in his cardigan, but he moves with what the text calls a farmer's mercy, which is just a brutal, unsentimental, and pragmatic way of getting things done. He's the fixer. He handles the numbers that never, ever make it onto the balance sheet. And our guide through this whole maze is Arun Dev. He's not your typical hero. He's more like a conscience for hire. His very unique skill, which he's honed through years of intense personal practice, is to see the truth that's hiding underneath the numbers. Or, as his own CEO puts it, his job is to serve as our mouth when we need to say the false with a face that looks like the true. And this brings us right to the story's central conflict, this huge clash of philosophies. On one side, you have Popov, who they call the knife. He just edits reality. He believes that stories, narratives, are the only currency that really matters. And on the other side is Arun, the mouth, who insists on the power of clarity, of process. For him, if you can't explain it to a clerk, it's just not real. So right away, Arun's whole philosophy gets put to the test. He's sent out to this warehouse at Vesper Wharf, and his task sounds simple enough. Count something, and then tell the company if that number can be spun to look innocent. Just listen to these incredible details. The place is described as a cathedral of dust, but it smells of old blood and chemicals. And of course, the crates are all neatly labeled medical equipment. A beautiful lie, right? Just like the one Arun is being paid to tell. The atmosphere itself is screaming that something is deeply, deeply wrong here. And this is the choice he's given. There's a shipment of so-called relief aid that's being split. Half of it will go where it's supposed to go, but the other half, well, that's going somewhere else entirely. And Arun is told to choose which half is which. He's literally being asked to draw a map of his own decency, of his own complicity. But Arun's solution here is just brilliant. See, he doesn't refuse to play the game. He plays it, but he plays it by his own rules. He manages to create this little pocket of integrity, an act of modest salvation. He makes sure that the second half also becomes legitimate aid, creating a paper trail that, okay, it's unexpected, but it's totally defensible. He finds a way to be honest inside of the system's lie. But of course, in a world of mirrors, you can't just create integrity out of nowhere and expect no consequences. The system starts to push back. During a huge investor call, the live video feed gets hacked just for a second, and it shows an image of that exact warehouse Arun just left. And then things get a whole lot darker. Arun's colleague, a guy named Carl, dies in a very suspicious fall from the company tower. And Popov's explanation? It's chilling. He says Carl didn't jump. No, he simply saw the shape of the company's future, and he got vertigo. The message couldn't be clearer. If you witness the truth, it might just kill you. So the game has totally changed. It's not just some moral test anymore. Popov lays it out for him. Arun has to pick a side. Is he the knife or is he the mouth? Because as he's told, witnesses don't survive. They get turned into stories. The pressure is on, and now his life is literally on the line. And all this pressure, it forces Arun to completely change his strategy.
He realizes he can't just create these small pockets of integrity from the sidelines anymore. No, he has to go from being a passive observer to an active player. He has to intervene directly.
The stage for this big intervention is a lavish corporate gala. I mean, it's a room literally built on beautiful lies, just packed with donors celebrating how generous they are. And the question he's facing is monumental. In a place like this, how on earth do you break the spell? The answer is so simple and so powerful. You don't just speak the truth. You don't leak it to a reporter. You perform it. Right there, on their stage, using their microphone. So he gets up to give a speech, and he takes the company's own self-congratulatory language about building a road of charity, and he just flips it on its head. He says the road is innocent. We are not. It's incredible. He confesses, but not as an individual. He confesses on behalf of the entire system, reframing all their work from something charitable to an act that demands public audited accountability. But Arun's journey doesn't just stop with one act of public defiance. I think his real genius is in what comes next, turning that performance into actual policy. This is where he tries to build a new, sustainable kind of integrity that can actually outlast him. He creates a totally new category for the company's books. After finding a container that's not smuggling weapons but personal belongings, including a family's front door from their lost home, he gives it a name: residue. It's a way to officially account for the human cost, for the smuggling of memory, for all the things that corporate ledgers are specifically designed to ignore. And his process for doing this is so unglamorous, but it's absolutely brilliant. First, he witnesses something that doesn't fit the system, like a door. Second, he gives it a name: residue. Third, he works with the clerks, the people who actually make the world run, to write a policy. And finally, he defends it, not with passion or a big speech, but with boredom, with process, with the kind of administrative reality that the powerful people at the top can't begin argue with. It's basically radical plumbing. And that brings us to the end, to this single word from Arun's teacher that really echoes through the whole story: perform. It's not about acting or pretending. It's about taking your internal practice, your breath, your principles, whatever they are, and turning them into deliberate public action, which leaves us with a pretty big final thought, doesn't it? In a world that's just full of beautiful lies, maybe the most radical act isn't just seeing the truth, but finding a way to perform it.